시작하시죠. 드리다다 지난주 요것은 나중에 코데 이아들이 것은 뭐 공도 되지세는 저랑 라마 것인데 것은 던자미 봐 송요리 것은 던자미 봐래 자와 취니 요말 되다니나 미성성도 가려지는 대해서 접근해야 되는 거 접근해야 되는 약도 니가 가려는 저런 거 저 가려는 지지방네 대강네 진짜 진성공고선 점제 계적 사람랑서 인성 난습 대식 넘보들 긴 가려 채우는 로버지 이 지랑속 동도요래 대중이 성성한테 세상 차도랑서 단 잡을 동네 잡지 강에 원풍 동에 센터랑서 그래 야 세상의 차도랑서 따서나 저기 가는 제목 많고 드리제라도 사용 리얼 제가 또목사 도착해 제가 그 중앙갈도 바탕을 남지가 되다 대용걸 대용들의 sen 대식 유보니 드리지 강 대식 유보하면은 대식 남지 가려요 그러더니 대식 유보들 나보 니차 연거래 오 다지 니차 거래 나 코거지 대식 유보들 다 내가 라서들이 니차한테 나 차가야 보이는 거서 나요 내바탕에 다디 차요래 얘는 당대 저러들이 당 거래 차당이데 나지는 남지 차당이 사는 거래 뺀지 칼라시 보드 사나니 니는 심보는 남상 찾아 먼지는 파욕 카바들이 나지니 들이 대식 용보디 처형을 들이 차롱으로 차 되게 차는 내렸더니 들이 락발 타서다 단담은 미송송동에 남지 랑족도 시당랑족 야라 센랑족 야라 또먹랑족 던조오데 뒤따는 것도 뒤따는 미송송으로 로또라만 보내는 대식도 코랑 초라로요 말 너디 장집에 이 대외들이 감성랑 통의자이나 라도 좀 대식이 뭐죠 대식이 뭐든 사소리 당만 말이 그래서 다디 법안량이 제베도 두르 동도 편에서 루스동을 대식이 뭐지 대라더니 그래서 유벽에 싸와서 동당고 된다 낙서부터 대지부터 추지도 대다 대식이 뭐리 샘도 우리 대식이 뭐지 또 요리지 내가 또 그냥 왔다 저거지 다시 당하는 소리지 제가 상무다나 우리 장례들이 나와 함께 라마 거리에 자지 참말 대식이 뭔도 이 로버트 방에서 다 정산이 라마 거든 줄 하는 말이 소리지 고토고요래 오 카드 당마 딱 바로져지 제가 많이 봐 동네 같은데 라마 거리도 딱 당시 때 자란 마음을 라마 송지 다들 책을 띄는 다 다동지지 똑같이 뭐를 당장 차당이더라 이래고 요래 내렸더니 대탐지 자다 속 일들이 저한테 가르쳐 대식이 뭐지 로버트만 그 점을 내렸더니 다다 속자 제로르자 초가 고리들이 차당을 해서 안을 때거든 처럼 통고 창으로 대탐지 조성 때 강로서는 이 무엇들이 다다 당진을 돈에 임히로 이 삼바체미 바가 당진이 공을 조르는 이 차롱대 치보시오는 차롱시오들이 니디디 돈당을 된 바들이 저장도 치보도 잡도 처임이마 남카를 이메가 돼서 하고는 들이 대식이 공랑왕 돈들이 이제 돌을 조르송 들이 다디 담비 최대 동네 기니보래데 때문에 동네를 돌이 타고 말이서 콜신지도 다 동네들 줘야요 말이데 뭐 제가 문단도래 상위로 대 말이 로버트인데 돈이 돌고 요래 배는 루즈미서 다시 성성무섬 루즈미리 처음은 생코는 제시요 말이 절대와미 파샤와 말이 데르티네들이 절접대들이 시체로 요래 접대들이 시체는 성나 들이 삼바던 경제대 대외 지역에 데르티와 체로 요래 들이 단 잡을는 명망 제사 저기 들이 나만데 대다서 관계 sep지 돈을 명망 대기라 토걸 쳐본 한거를 탐하게 시랍지 로지 탑식 잡을 대베탑 시베탑 명망 대기 대베탑 대사는 거리 들이 단지 치와 탑식 다 다가 나콩 들이 랑지 그래서 어딘지 랑지가 동행적 거요래 먹은 통기들 때리 대덕대 로버를 해줘야지 벨런지 다다 개인소 양속 뒤점 패적 다다 사요 이송을 그래서 다다 내가 그랬지는 좀 문제 내렸더니 이 다다다다들라가 그래서 내가 돌는 거는 돈을 내주려 받아 놓사요 말이 돈당 내만 통과받아 그래서 나 내만 통통제 담제 주담제 말 담은 통구요리 나가도 되게 가능해 봤다 능해 봐 제타를 오 당문에 취대 동에 다 잡을 줬대 농간도 동에 이제다 타졌다 답치대 다 동에 이거 삼년 잡아리도 포지 잡지 싸워 하고 통도 오 이제 손이 제르티는 들이다 샘진내로 돈당게 대마들 내록 송무요리 들이금 질롱 지람장게 내록 돈은 치와 공는 메스 오 대송 다 들어가지 이제 말해 봐 내록 도고 바로는 시랍사발로라 메스 오 대사들이 측명을 너는 세부 내록서 도고 탑라 들이 다 듣는 것도 내가 상바 재미 이전에 좀때 들이 돈당게 내봐 다 사다 좀 거는 세부 내록 랑가 내로 랑가 도저지 또그요 맞아지 사실 뭐 일이 연구요 말이 오저 자롱 차송 자롱 때 랑시 랑도 시원들이 이제 돌았더니 들이 잡도도 저거 차거래 대도를 답을 주지 용지지라 들이 되는데 책도 가는 동네요 그래서 고아차들 오 때문에 레스 문제는 이제 만한 때 아니라다 동네도 로버 박차레스 박차죠 말이지 얘네들이 공장은 뭐는 나도 탐조랑 사랑하셨다는 또 저기도 딸문이 있잖아들이 다 답이 주시 받아서 쏙다 그래야지 하고 또 그래 이렇게 얘네들이 다 뒤도다가 뒤도다 라이크 좀 톡건 것도 답가리나 끝에 그리고 박차리 가리 다 이런 말이 끝에 야자야자 뒤는 랑 나오냐 말이 다 그래 그래서 탐색에 라마진이지 라마 카카를 삼고요 말이 라마 카카요 말 한그 샘 대식이 뭐 고랑당 사제기 대식이 뭐 상 오야 들라니 대식이 뭐 제발요 말이 별로 잠시 쳐다는 저기 남만하던 답을 가와쳐를 쳐지바 찍봐도요 말 대답 차들 대식이 뭐 대래 이 세분 내려도 나기 니 뭐서 소소랑 고고라 뒤도 탐질 라마 톡들 가리 라면 통 니디 오마 니디 맨나더니 센트 메와랑 말이 요와랑 말이 다 대띠는 판도 책도 오는 띠는 파주 메외들이 다다 데니 성적 때고 공부하지 딱고 타당 잡아 뭐 동바 제부 타당 잡아 랑지사바 이다 남바 사제베들이 따왔던 사제 무스들이 랑세군이 무스 띠는 파로래 책을 지는 바로 동그라미 앞전에 되냐 명을 돈이 온 거래. 들때 따라들 탐지 이도 왔다면 예를 같이 모여게 들다다 답제도 막 보송 때 다른들 답 힘보다 와서 들이 제발 고아 찾고 갔더니 됐다면 내일에서 태통 가면 내가 대도 차은 거래. 들이 대는 사와 마음과 답탐시 따르는 말인데 다니 들이 답제 는 코아두네 다소 거슬고 거는 저에 거슬 되는 셈 내륙적 걸 거슬 상거요래 뭐 동관지대 죽어야지 오 제사오 동만에만 나가도마다 셈 나가도 싸고 잘라면 sol거요래 sol거래 되는 거지 이 팀이 쏘는 거 혼자니가 안 주고요다 샤르드들이면 나가는 자소샤가 놓고지 죽어야 뒤는이다 다마다 니 샤르나 딱봐도 마다버트 특징은 좀 제대로 같이 이렇게 딱 쪼가로 다 마다 이용고요래 오 땅문에 주탑적 것은 걸로는 많이 보면 돼 대 매번 따라들이랑 생무보세라 생무 내로 코로나 것은 더 그럴 때 그럼 대도 하고 또 그래 대하고 또 제대 서럽 나럽 산럽 송 들이 되는 것도 들이 라마 닝마게 것은 제조고요래 다다는 것도 하서만 나도 인지 되라서가 레레레지도 선거요래 내가 님들 그것인데 죽어는 것도 그것은 라마 죽어줘봐 이 라마롱 거줘봐 라마 죽어줘봐 그것은 좋아하대 때로 요거래 들이 대회는 들이 자다 마음가라 답답한 나는 이제 답답 제발았다 동가래 대차서 되는 영말 더 들이 더 또, 양산이라도 삼만 당나 그리고 특별히 되고 또 적강을 되는 라는 소소를 대식 정보 요배 되게 지들고 특별히 이들 사파도 물을 못 채데 물을 못 채 감축 되지 물을 못 채서 이 나라들은 좋아 인다들 강마마도 요사 말이 이런 물을 못 채 감축 되지 제 말이 배송에 어떤 좋아 매일 그게 감지 니바체 때 감축 사용 용지 감축 되지는 감 중앙 감지는 당을 틀려야 되지 감 대식이고 감지 냠지들이자 그래서 감 틀려요 그래요. 제가 보지지다 않네. 그래서 보지도 못하면 보지지다 마찬가지다. 나는 내록 되는 내가 침못 때리. 본데 이게 되는 참고 내가 맨날 남카들 거기 참대요 그래. 옛날 나가 sempre 참고요 그래. 그래서 사자치고나 드리다다 사와는 다니님도 하고서 자치 모든 게 샘남 그가 잡도 하고는 그때 탐지랑 샘스시 자다 나와 탐지랑 그 샘송 도다고 대바테다 또야 요래 대도로 되게 랑게 하고는 인터뷰 맥케도 요래 배는 대도로 공부하기는 들이다다 어떤 나랑 배당 거를 배마서도 홍데 매달 때는 샘득식 용보를 돌진 장데 들이 가당 가딩이 감미더니 엔다송을 샘지 돌지 잡을 마셔도 문에도 돌지 저도 가요. 랑게 대식이 뭐 샘지 니지메 샘 랑 내록도 라마 탐지 사지 탐지 되는 거요래. 그 라마 대식도 톡 송당을 잡을 가면서 오늘 저 탐들 하장 ben사고는데 시선은 또 탐지하고 또 그요래. 그때 책 용도 돈도 봐지. 그다다지니 내려지니 맨날 걸 보면서 돈지 돌리라면 착밤이면 것도 또 빼마디 착밤이면 빼마디는 매도 빼마는 남편은 지네요. 빼면 남아라 들 남부터 막 싸워는 이거 말이 서버대와라 차리고 말이 강에 대화 치고 어디 스스로 대화 자체를 봐지서 이 타면 대화 되는 랑게 따뜻한 타톡을 대화 대 랑이 수비면서 거에 데이터를 공부하기 때 가사가사 못하면 때도 답답해도 치는 것들이 랑이 냥서 이유는 뭐 내가 다 많이 봤더니 상마제 접어들는 거에서 겨라고 ordel 답답 탐지는 타톡과 세무다야 돼. 랑그 세무 내록도야 티 토게 벌어서 뭐래 사지 고방처가 랑그 세무 내록 가지고 또나들이 랑그 사지 또 거들이 사지 샘도 나파다 나파라 팀 그거래. 얘네들이 상제 나진이 가가리 상제 니로도 상고래. 얘들이 상마 타더니 생각나 갔다 자성을 들었다. 그만하면 이렇게만 담지게 라고요래. 다 생남 갔다 하고서 온지 문에 생남 갔다 그 남갔다 하고는 남갈 철지 와요 막 파셔져 머리 제시요 머리 되는 코르슨 된다더니 말람다 좀한다 생각들이 나고가는 전자 말을 샤는 사람 놓아요 말을 별라 랑니들이 동에 찍다고 동에 매번 대화 첨보소 이제 또야 때도 돌아 들이다 독감들이 일단 매단 걸 동대신에 되는 제가 만나서 아무를 홍홍들 사제 탐색을 건나동 손톱동 톡도 해야 돼. 대형 거som 톡송은 톡동 도지대오나 송자동 송나동랑 이 차로 그래. 세달 자우인데 손들이 다니 니지메한테 핀지 찍더라. 생고만 대봐야 뭐지 요래. 생고만 hin지야나미 요요래. 대담제지 트레스 민도 동제에서 그때 돈담고 대망을 됐다가 중국 인지기 저도 송부요래 마크 마시는 공부도 요래 참을 자사요래 이 양당양도 자차가지는 럽탑다 하등 동치 보요래 서럽 제 밤만 보냐니 야 나를 데려서만다 상급들 상급들 받을 nin자들이 때 강의들이 바꿔서 이제 된다는 것은 것도 대도 요래 들다다는 참자들이 매단 걸 강강하면 소망 때 매단 걸 보면서 홍시가요. 제가 다다다 첫번에는 것도 놀지람에 첫번에는 것도 소소 첫 번째 단위 인지는 연구 요래 돈을 잡지 이런 말에 대답을 드리 공부하시라고 지들이 주로 말을 다시 데리고만 보여. 들이 다다디 저는 그렇게 봐서 말이지 가공을 나 속하는 저는 야채 탑을 올렸더니 깝들이 이게 바로 이게 삐 속으면 근데도 뭐나데 싶어 고서 감되는 동양을 말이와 들 뭐그 rol을 좋아하지 라마만 저런 뭐저 사비당 들이 빠지게 될 때고 뭐나 싶어 그래 대다고 강에 쳐보여 그래지 이렇게 다들 꼭 통마진들이 제자 탐보는 거를 보줄 건데 정말 가고 거를 보줄 거래 낭르더니 쏘더니 빼막고 담배를 진봉 등엄마 아마사더니 그러나 하렉 잡았지 따침보지 오래 송중용 오래 뒤에는 내사지 지고 또 지는 속디 동장이 얘기하다 하자 사치고 그래 대 고지 덤덤 고차 잡고서 들이 차로지들이 타오래 대까지는 이거래 들때에들 들이 이거 통솔했더니 그렇게 망보여서 대대 통솔하고 요래 제발 말해야 돼 들이면 나지종 차리 밖에 꼭 통말이지 송 라마만 보고 송 그래 다들이 직장인 초들이 사주 정말에 대타탕 생각해보라 차요 들때 참아 주로 통들을 들때 나를 잡다할 때 마음 버리지 라는 것이냐 네 참초가 돼서 그래 들 다시 데리고 온 거요.
So Dhamma friends, so we said that all phenomena have the nature of the three kayas. All phenomena in samsara and nirvana. And the guru embodies the three kayas. And it is said in the text also that the three kayas are without meeting and parting. So we can actually never separate from the three kayas, even if we go to wander in the three lower realms. As we said, then temporarily we are impure nirmana kayas. So we have said there's pure and impure nirmana kayas. And nirmana kaya, the quality of an emanation body is that they can manifest in any form, depending on what cause has been created. Lord Jigten Sungen said that the ripening of karma, cause and effect, is the natural manifestation of one's moment-to-moment thoughts. So within, we all possess Buddha nature, but depending on the temporary conditions that we encounter and then the causes that we create, we manifest in different shapes and forms, depending on the cause created. So, for example, the lower realms are a natural manifestation of anger and jealousy. And we can also see that represented in this world. For example, impoverishment is the natural manifestation of greed. And then there's wars and conflict in the world. That is the natural manifestation of anger or hatred and jealousy. And then there are different other sufferings that we experience. For example, there's earthquakes and so forth, and other disasters caused by the elements. And they each are related to an afflictive emotion. For example, earth is related to ignorance, and water is related to attachment, and so forth. So the 5 elements are connected to the afflictive emotions. And so then, since we all possess Buddha nature, then why does this still happen? Why do we still experience suffering? It is because to Buddha nature, there appeared dualistic reality. So the mind began to think that there is self and other. there is me and him, and so on. And so temporarily, therefore, we have become lost in samsara. It is because of this dualistic perception. And once that is present, we will always want happiness for ourselves first. And therefore, we will see others as a threat. Even though there is no real self, we still cling to our own happiness. So because of self-grasping, the afflictions of attachment and anger will naturally arise. And it manifests even in a very subtle way. For example, if there's some food that you really like, then immediately you reach for it. And if it's something that you don't like, you just throw it away. So temporarily, Buddha nature, although it is like water, it has frozen into ice. And we can see the various manifestations of the afflictive emotions in this world. The manifestations of, and the three lower realms. The manifestation, or the turkus of the hell realms, is a manifestation of anger. The hungry spirits are a manifestation of greed, and the animals are a manifestation of ignorance. And even though we may spend thousands of years in the three lower realms, Buddha nature still will never become spoiled or altered in any way. That is why we call it Vajradhara. It is the unchanging nature. And also that is what is meant by this verse we previously mentioned within the boundless palace of the sentient beings of the three realms of samsara dwells the Sugata essence, or dwells Buddha nature. Also, many of you practice Vajrakilaya, and it is also mentioned in there. So that in the end, everything is complete within Buddha nature. Everything, it is not your body that what you really are, but it is your Buddha nature. Also, in the dedication prayer, it says, I dedicate the innate root of virtue after 3 times. And so this innate root of virtue refers to your Buddha nature, or the ultimate truth. And we have also mentioned before, it is realized by virtue of 3 powers: the power of your own intention, the power of all the Buddha's compassion, and the power of the Dharmadhatu. And Buddha nature is the power of the Dharmadhatu. But still, temporarily, we experience suffering like we experience in this world now. And that is because of our afflictive emotions. So think about those afflictive emotions well. And so then you will begin to understand how all appearances really are the form, all form are the form of the Guru. All beings possess Buddha nature. That is their true nature. They are only temporarily obscured. And temporarily, to us, it appears that the Guru appears as the pure Nirmanakaya and introduces us. And through this introduction, we are able to understand that everything is actually a vast field of purity. And then true faith will arise within us. So then all forms become the form of the Guru, and all sounds become the speech of the Guru. But that is when there is no grasping at sound. All sound becomes the Guru's speech. And as a result, one realizes the ultimate. So when there is no grasping at sound, then one purifies the concept or the fixation of kind of conflating one's inner idea about something and the actual thing presented to oneself. So one lets go of grasping at forms and sounds that one hears. And when there is no more grasping at forms and sounds, then there is just Buddha nature. So it is really those fixations that obscure Buddha nature temporarily. It is basically the feelings that are generated when we come into contact with the 6 sense objects, form, sound, smell, and so on. Because these sense objects generate a feeling in us, we act on them. We react and accumulate karma either with an attached mind or a mind of aversion. And so as we keep creating more karma, our mind solidifies further and further into an ice block. So the first thing that we need to understand is that what needs to be liberated is self-grasping, and it is liberated through the altruistic mind, through immeasurable love. That is what will melt that ice block. And when that is melted, one sees the ultimate truth naturally. Then the ice block has merged to become one with the ocean water. And then you realize that within this vast body of water, there is no duality. There is no division in space. There is no duality in space. That is when Buddha nature attains freedom. And it is also referred to as the natural liberation of the basis or the primordial liberation, because that is your primordial nature. So the Holy Dharma is an antidote to suffering, is the antidote to suffering. Without the Dharma, we really have no way to ultimately free ourselves from suffering. No matter what we do, we cannot free ourselves. So people often think that my entire life, it's just suffering. I only suffer. And this is just how it is, and it will never be different. I will never become free from suffering. And this is really not true at all. Even that state of suffering is temporary, as everything is temporary. And slowly things transform, and suffering goes away. But people who don't understand that, they think that if I just end this life, this body, then this is my end to suffering. But this is just a lack of understanding, because this is not the end of suffering. Because even though the body dies, the mind never dies. The mind is beyond birth and death. So if you understand that, then your trust in karma increases more and more. And that means that you understand the need of cultivating love, that love is the only cause of happiness. So then with that understanding of karma, your love will increase more and more. And we can see in this world, there are many people who have attained such freedom of mind, where they always experience happiness, and they are concerned about the well-being of others, and they worry about the suffering in the world. So there are many people with such wisdom in the world, and they understand what is the actual cause of happiness, what is the method to create this cause. So on the other hand, there's those whose self-clinging is very strong, and all they can see is just their own misery, and they cannot see the suffering of others. And so then for the sake of their own happiness, they bring others down, but in the end, they create suffering for not only others, but also themselves. So we can see that very clearly all around us in the world. But all of it, happiness or suffering, is temporary, and it will not last. Jigten Sumgön also had said that now during these times in this life, whatever karma is created will be multiplied, or it becomes very significant. It will ripen right now. It will ripen like in this life. So whatever karma we have created in the past is ripening now, and since this human existence is very powerful, whatever karma we create will have a significant consequence. So in the end, we always come back to karma. There is no other way to go, really. And this is how it is until we have realized the ultimate truth. When you realize the ultimate truth, you will see everything like a dream. And you have realized the space-like nature of the mind and know that within space there is no suffering. You have realized that is the actual cause. What is the actual cause of suffering? And you have realized that the Holy Dharma is the only antidote to suffering. And you will then see how unfathomable the qualities of the Holy Dharma really are. That is really when you see the root of samsara and nirvana. It's on the basis of understanding karma. That is when you then see the nature of the mind. And Longchen Rabcham had said, aside from realizing the nature of your mind, there is no higher learning than that. And Milarepa also said something similar. He said, aside from realizing the nature of the mind, there is no other perfection of wisdom than that. So in brief, the practice, the sadhana, is a method to realize the nature of the mind. On the relative level, that means that we must first cultivate love, the relative bodhicitta. Then on the ultimate level, it means to realize the nature of your mind. But all practice that we engage in is for the sake of realizing that, the nature of our own mind, or Mahamudra. And the nature of mind is something that you have to realize yourself. Now, Mahamudra will not come to you from somewhere else. You have to realize it within yourself. You have to melt the ice block on your own and experience how it melts into the vast ocean when you become a Sambhogakaya, accomplishing the deity. So this is how you should practice the sadhana. When you recite the words in the sadhana, you should recite them understanding the meaning of this, the qualities of the Holy Dharma and its purpose. So a real certainty arises in you. So you really think that, so I do experience suffering, but all of this suffering is just temporary. It will not always be that way, and it is only the manifestation of my own karmic patterns. And when I meditate, these can be cleared away. And then you gain the experience that when you meditate, actually all thoughts and afflictive emotions are pacified. They just dissolve on their own. And then you realize that actually all these thoughts and emotions are actually empty. They don't actually exist. So this experience is really the life force or the life vein of the Holy Dharma. And it can be realized by anyone who practices. So in the old Tantric system, in the Nyingma system, and this is a practice of the Nyingma system, the Nyingma system speaks of the method of accomplishment that one realizes the three kayas of the Guru. So through the sadhana practice, we purify the karmic patterns of our ordinary body and of our speech and so forth, gradually through practice. And again, if you continue to practice, this notion of me, an I that exists, will disappear. And that is why I always tell disciples, remember the deity, think of the deity. And do not think of the deity as something separate from you. Just remember the deity. And the deities or the Guru's Buddha nature, the Buddha's Buddha nature, your own Buddha nature are one and the same. There's not the slightest separation. It is just like ice and water, or ice floating on water. But in the end, it is all water. For example, in this world, even though water manifests as snow mountains, as ice, as different rivers and so on, in the end there is just one water in the world. And so that is just like Buddha nature. There is just this one mind. And when you realize its nature, you realize that self and others are not separate. So that's the meaning of this line in the text here. All thoughts are the Guru's mind. All mental arisings are the Guru's mind. And the Guru's mind is a mind of non-duality. There is no dualistic thought in the Guru's mind. The Guru has realized that the mind neither exists nor does it not exist. So it is just as it is explained in that sadhana. And this lack of existence or non-existence is the union of the twofold truth, the relative and the ultimate. Which means that so the wrong view of eternalism is cleared away through the empty essence of mind, and the wrong view of nihilism is cleared away through the natural clarity of the mind. So the actual ultimate view to realize is that there is no other Buddha aside from your own mind. It's within your own mind. And that is what these words in the sadhana here mean. And so even though we can understand that on the basis of words, we can really only realize it, truly understand through personal experience, through practice. So that is why these words contained here are really very important. They're like a wish-fulfilling jewel. So there are many different sadhanas, extensive and brief. And this particular sadhana is concise sadhana, really representing the quintessence of the ultimate view. So it's really a secret accomplishment. And by reading it, when you read through the words of the text, I try to really internalize it to see how this is really how things really are. And if you approach it in this way, then you will also not develop any doubts. So this is how you should practice sadhanas, also any other sadhanas in the future. So this particular sadhana is a quintessential sadhana that presents the ultimate essence of the three kayas, and which also means that on the basis of this, you must realize how the three kayas are actually within your own mind. So how they are within your own mind is that the empty essence of your mind is the Dharmakaya. But then there is also a luminosity, a clarity. There is a consciousness that knows its empty nature. You are aware of your space-like nature. And that experience of clarity, that is the quality of the Sambhogakaya. And everything is included within this mind. There's nothing in samsara and nirvana that is not encompassed by it. So the Sambhogakaya appears like a rainbow in the sky of the Dharmakaya. And then the Nirmanakaya appears in pure and impure forms to those who see things in a dualistic way, in order to help them with great compassion. So when you read these words here in the text, you should come to an understanding that all phenomena have the nature of the three kayas. Nothing transcends that this vast expanse of three kayas. And the reason for that is that it's my own mind. It is because the nature of my own mind is those three kayas, and nothing transcends the nature of my own mind. So by practicing this sadhana, this is what you can realize. So generally, there are outer, inner, and secret accomplishment practices. And in the Nyingma, the old Tantric system, the practices, the sadhanas are practiced through being introduced to the three kayas. According to the new Tantric system, we have, for example, the fivefold path of Mahamudra, where each of these steps is pointed out separately. In the Nyingma system, the three kayas are presented simultaneously. So we accomplish, but here in this context, we practice or accomplish the guru's three kayas. The guru as the Dharmakaya, the guru as the Sambhogakaya, and the guru as the Nirmanakaya. And also this is how you should practice any other sadhana in the future. So you can first consult an extensive version of the sadhana and then come back to practicing a concise version of it. So this is the approach of the old Tantric system. So first, as also in the old Tantric system, it speaks often about sending out light rays and gathering them back. That's actually very similar to the approach of practicing a sadhana. So sending out is first we elaborate, we look at elaborate sadhana, and then we gather it back into the essence. If you think about this again and again, you will understand. Because you possess Buddha nature, and also because you possess a precious human body that is endowed with 6 elements. Actually, it is said that the other 5, or the other realms, 5 realms, beings only possess 5 elements. Milarepa, he said that what makes a precious human being unique and what makes their ability to create virtue and non-virtue great is the fact that they possess those 6 elements. So that is the 5 main elements. And then on top of that, the 6th element is the subtle element of the bindu drop. So the pure essence of the bindu drop, which is also called bodhicitta drop. And that bodhicitta drop, this subtle essence, is a quality of, actually it is within Buddha nature too. So it also has the nature of great bliss on the relative level. That is why also the Dharmakaya is referred to as the state of great bliss that is devoid of all suffering. And so this mind pervades, your mind pervades all of samsara and nirvana. Because your mind is like space, it is all pervasive. There's nothing not pervaded by it. And so that's how it is presented according to the old Tantric system. And in the Mahamudra system, it is actually the same. In the Mahamudra teachings, it says you must understand the absence of self and other by looking at the mind with clarity. By looking at the mind with clarity, it becomes vast like space, and you know the nature of the mind. In the 37 practices, it says, appearances are one's own mind. So everything is your own mind. And this is the realization of the ultimate truth. And one who has realized that is also able then to open the eyes to that for others. So keep thinking about that, reflect on that. And then regarding the meaning of the mantra, the Amahung Benza Guru Bema Siddhihung mantra, Guru Rinpoche's mantra, so the Benza is the Vajra, and the Vajra refers to your Buddha nature, or the Buddha Vajra Dhara. Or in the fivefold path of Mahamudra, it also mentions that the Vajra that is the root guru, the Vajra of the mind, which is the root guru, appears to all sentient beings. That is, it is the guru who has realized non-duality, and then introduces you. When you realize the nature of your mind, you will realize that the guru himself and all the Buddhas are within your own mind and nowhere else. So then the guru introduces us to the practice of taking refuge and cultivating bodhicitta. For example, in the context of the refuge, it also says that the guru is that I take refuge in is the mind of bodhicitta. So anyways, the words in this sadhana are extremely profound. And if you really understand their meaning, actually you will be able to understand the meaning of everything. The words are concise, but the sadhana is concise in words, but it is complete in meaning. So coming back to the mantra, so the Vajra is your Buddha nature. So then Vajra Guru Bema Siddhihung. So altogether it means, please grant me the siddhi, or the accomplishment of the non-attached Vajra. So the lotus flower, so Vajra is your Buddha nature. The lotus flower represents freedom from attachment. The lotus flower grows out of mud, but it always remains unstained by the mud. So that is a sign of not being attached to the pleasures of worldly life. And that is the state of great bliss. In the 37 practices also it says the happiness of the 3 realms is like a dewdrop on the tip of a blade of grass. So again, we come back to the 37 practices. So all of these quotes are interconnected. So really think about them and how they all connect. So think about it in many different ways and see how it all connects. And so in this way, when you think of what you hear in this way and you connect it all together, then your wish to engage in practice will increase. So you will feel inspired to engage in practice. For example, also in our opening prayer, that also connects to this, and it says there, until I attain enlightenment, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. So I will practice until I attain enlightenment. The sadhana is for the purpose of realizing the nature of the mind. Actually, any practice that you do is done so that you realize the nature of the mind only. And until it is realized, we must engage in practice. And then once one attains the state of Buddhahood, so what is that state of Buddhahood? The state of Buddhahood is where you realize that the mind is just like space. When you realize that, you merge with that space, with the ultimate space. And that is what we call a Buddha. So a Buddha is someone who does not perceive a duality any longer. He sees no separation between self and other. So a Buddha, so it's Sangye in Tibetan, and Sang means to have cleared away. And what is cleared away is this state of mind that sees a separation between self and other. And Gye means expansive, because then the mind becomes vast like space. So actually many disciples who practice have experienced that, and they said, I have understood the space-like nature of the mind. If you understand that, you will know that the mind is beyond birth and death. And when you understand that, you will perceive all the suffering and all those samsaric sentient beings like a dream or like an illusion, arising from within that space-like nature of the mind in so many different ways. But because you see it as an illusion, it will not affect you in one or the other way. Nothing will negatively affect you or harm you in any way. And there's no contradiction. Nothing is a problem. So that is when you realize great bliss that is free from all suffering. And that is something you can realize if you engage in practice, in the practice such as this practice. So the Vajraguru mantra, then there's the Om Ahung in the beginning. Om Ahung represents the three kayas, and mainly the empty mind Vajra. So we often speak about three Vajras, which is also represented by these three syllables. That is the Vajra of form, which is empty appearances, the Vajra of sound, which is empty sounds, and then the Vajra of the mind, which is empty awareness. And so ultimately it all comes down to that, the Vajra of the mind, which is empty awareness. When you realize the Vajra of mind, which is your empty awareness, then the Vajra of speech and the Vajra of body will naturally actually be accomplished. And everything that you hear and see will appear just like a rainbow emerging from a crystal, not separate from the crystal. So therefore you will perceive no separation between yourself and others. And then seeing it in this way, naturally, devotion arises for the higher beings and compassion arises for sentient beings. This is how then it happens on an ultimate level. And actually, regarding that, also Khenpo Tenzin actually always teaches that all the time. And I also myself often ask him questions. So you have somebody you can ask questions, and you should do that again and again. And so anyways, this sadhana, for any sadhana, there are longer and shorter versions. There is outer, inner, and secret accomplishments to a practice. And so this particular practice is a quintessential, secret accomplishment practice. And in the context of such a practice, we are introduced mainly to the Vajra of the mind, the three kayas, and how they are included within your own mind. So there's this picture, Rinpoche, I wanted to introduce you to. In the sadhana, on the first page, this image of Guru Rinpoche. is actually a very special image. And it comes from a Gar monastery. And so it was during that time, so when Rinpoche said, I just came back from prison in 1980. So that was after the Cultural Revolution and everything was demolished. Then I returned from prison back to Gar Monastery in 1980, and it was very difficult at that time to print anything, actually, to really find any scriptures or any images, tankas and so on. For example, the Samantabhadra prayer was something I had to memorize because there was no way to find a printed version of that. And it was actually a Lama Mingyo Rinpoche who had then written it down. But so anyways, this image was very difficult to come around during that time. And when I first came back from prison in 1980, it appeared in the monastery, and it was set up at that time at Gar Monastery. So it is an image, a statue of Guru Rinpoche that is at Gar Monastery, and the statue is filled with many special relics. For example, relics that came from Bema Gu, also where my mother used to live a long time. And so many relics were gathered from there, and then during the Cultural Revolution, a lot of it was destroyed and then also broken apart and split among, shared among people and so on. But somehow we were able to retrieve some of those blessings, and then we're able to fill the statue with that. So that's why the statue is really actually extremely precious. Even though there are many different Guru Rinpoche statues, this is a really very special one. And actually at that time it was the first of its kind in the Nangchen County. And no one else actually had it at that time. So it contains really many great blessings, and I wanted to introduce you, Dharma friends, to this special image, the statue of Guru Rinpoche today. And so in the future, you can also we're also going to make an image, a print of it, so you can hang it up and arrange it on your own shrine. So dashidelek.
Okay, now we'll take a break, and please join us online at 2 p.m. Arizona time, and we will continue the practice. Thank you.